yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one.
It's in my pants, but no, it's in my bum crack. Right, here we go. Oh my!
Who turned the lights out? So all the power's gone off. Let's try and find out why, shall we?
Dadskillz, dadskills, dadskills, dadskills.
Right, okay, so your power's gone off. So you're gonna have to check a few things before we go delving into the fuse box and seeing what's up. The first thing, if it's night, have a look outside your window if you've got neighbours, and just see if their lights are on. If it's daytime, send someone a text, see if their power is still on. And then there's always your supplier. You can go on the internet on your phone if you've got 4G, 3G, and see what they're saying. And if everyone's saying your power is still on, then it's time to have a look at the fuse box or your consumer unit and see what's tripped. So we're going to take a look at 3 different types of board. First one we're going to look at is this. Now these are less common, but there's still a lot of these around. So we're going to have a look at this one first, and just go through what you do to check. Okay, so this is the classic old YLX fuse box, fuse board. This is the sort of thing that would have been around when I was a kid. And as I say, there's a surprising amount of these still left in installations across Britain. So we've got main switch over there. That will probably still be on when you go and look. There is a cover that goes over this. So you take the cover off, and inside that cover, people used to write on what their circuit did. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. If it's not, and all your power has gone out, it has been common recently for people to put RCDs before this board. And so if that RCD goes, this whole board gets turned off. I will post a picture of what that RCD could look like now. Okay, you haven't got an RCD and it's just, let's say it's just your lights that have gone off, or it's just your sockets that have gone off. Let's have a look at how you might go about finding what it is. So if you've never done this before, you turn it off. These individual things here, these old Bakelite things, these are the fuses. So on this one we've got white, and that's a 5 amp. White represents the 5 amp, and 5 amp is what you would have for a lighting circuit. And on this board we've got red, that's 30 amp, and that represents things like socket ring, cooker or shower. Now there are blue ones which are 16 or 15 amp, maybe 15 amp, and that would be something for, say, a water heater. And then you've also got yellow, which is 20, and that's for a bigger circuit, maybe a socket circuit or a garage, something like that. So we've turned it off, and we think our lights have gone, so we've got no labelling, so we're gonna take them out one by one, see what we've got. Now, hopefully you can see in there, and you can see that we've got two places of connection, and in between those places of connection we've got fuse wire. Now if we look in there, you can see that we've still got our fuse wire intact, so it's not that circuit. So we'll make our way along the board, and this one, now this one's an interesting one. This one has been wired outside that cradle. So there we go, there's another bit of shoddy electrical work. That cradle in there is a heat resistant material, so that when this fuse goes, this fuse wire goes, you know, it doesn't do any more damage than it needs to. So the last one we've got is this one. And this one is highly dangerous. We've got our fuse board turned off. But we've got live connections there. There's no cradle. So if you see something like this, it really is time to call the local electrician in and get him to sort you out a new board. So we'll put that one back in there. Right, we're going to say we found our light circuit that's gone. So now I'm going to go through with you how to replace that fuse wire. Right, okay, so for this example, our fuse wire is gone, which is in there, and you will see that little strip of metal in there. So that'll be non-existent, or you'll see two ends, two blackened ends. First thing we're going to do is undo both ends of these terminals. We're not going to take them right out. We're just going to undo them. Right, now we're going to take out our old wire and discard that. Okay, so now we've taken out and discarded our old fuse wire that was in there. Right, okay, so now we need to decide what size fuse wire we need. And you remember I told you before, the colour denotes what amperage it is, and it's also written on there. So we've got a 5 amp. So we're going to be using this top wire here. Okay, so I've done a bit, but you'll see I've not actually cut it off this piece of cardboard. And what we're going to do, we're going to use that, thread it through, and you see now it's through the cradle, our protective cradle in case it blows again, and it's come out the other side. So our screw terminal here is going to do up that way. So that's the way we're going to wind our wire on, and it looks something like that. So now I'm going to screw that up and tighten it up. And now the most important bit is I'm going to cut that off, because we don't want to cause ourselves any issues. Right, so we've got one end on. So our screw is going to tighten in that way. So that's the way we want our wire to go. Do our, put the terminal screw up there. Right, there we go. Job done, nice and tidy. I have seen in the past when people have had a metal board, they've left this tail too long coming off here, it's touched the board and it's taken their main fuse out. So it needs to be nice and tidy like that. Right, let's put it back in the board. Right, okay then, with our board still off, we're going to pop that back into our fuse box, turn it back on, and hopefully we've got full power restored. And like I say, that process for replacing the fuse wire is the same for any of these fuses apart from this one. But if you've still got issues after that, it's not for you to go delving around any deeper really. Then it's time to call the electrician. But this is something simple enough that the homeowner should be able to do. Right, okay, let's have a look at the second device that's protecting our electrics. And this is a consumer unit now. We've moved away from a fuse box because there's no rewirable fuses. We've now got a consumer unit that's populated by RCBOs. What's an RCBO? Well, that's a residual current breaker with overload protection. What does that mean? Well, that means we've taken our protection that was offered by our fuse, and that protection is there to protect our circuits, our wiring that's in our walls and in our trunking and in our loft space. But we've also combined that with earth leakage protection. And so you can tell if you've got an RCBO with this overcurrent protection and this residual current protection, because it's got these little test buttons here. Yeah, we'll get onto our RCD board later where we'll see this again. So here, these little buttons are to test the functionality of our residual current device. And this sticker says we need to test every quarter, which has now changed. It's now every 6 months. So we need a new sticker on that. Yeah, so if your power goes, this again, like the fuse box, is a very simple thing to track down and see what tripped. So let's say it's a lighting circuit, you can just put it back up, and A very common cause of a trip on a lighting circuit is a cheap bulb that's blown. The cheap bulb often takes out the device, and then a bit later on we'll go into what to check if it's a socket circuit, and we'll do that on the final board. Right, okay, so we're on to the third board, and I didn't have one of these to hand, so as you can see I've had to green screen it. This board is the one that causes the issues. This is the tricky one. This is the one where you get the call and the customer says the lights went out, but it took the TV with it as well. It's really weird, can't work it out. The guy who installed it was meant to be a good electrician. I thought all the circuits were separate. So then I have to explain what's going on. So from this board, you'll be able to see that we have our fuses that have now become MCBs. So over time we've made the fuse mechanical, if you like, and now it's an MCB. So that's protecting each circuit. So what we saw in our second board was we'd actually incorporated an RCD and an MCB into one, an RCD and a fuse into one. Well, this board, they're separate. And so I'll point to the MCB again. That's protecting the circuit. And now we've got an RCD, and that's protecting the row of MCBs beyond it. And so we've got two RCDs here, protecting up to 3 circuits each, but it could be protecting 8, 9, 10 circuits each. So if you imagine that RCD trips, well, that's going to take up to 10 circuits with it on a really big board. And so that's why if your lights go, let's say a bulb goes, it could take everything with it. It could take kitchen sockets or upstairs sockets. This is going to take a little bit of investigational work on our behalf. So let's say circuit goes, but it takes the RCD with it. What we're going to do in this instance is we're going to turn all our MCBs off that RCD protects, and then we're going to try and put our RCD back on. If it stays, perfect. That's exactly what we want. So now what you can do is put each MCB on one by one until you find the circuit that trips the RCD. So that's excellent. So now you've whittled down the circuits to the circuit that's causing the issue. Let's say you put the RCD back up, it doesn't stay up, it trips straight away. Well, at that point we need to take a little look at what circuits it's protecting. And let's say you've got a light circuit on there. Well, you're going to have to go around all your light switches, turn them the opposite way, try again. If that works, then you can go around your light switches, turning them the opposite way until it blows again. That's if you're lucky. Socket wise, if it trips straight away when you put the RCD up, you'll need to go through all your sockets, unplug everything. It's not good enough just turning them off. You need to unplug everything. Go back to the RCD, try it again. There'll be some things that you can't get to, like a hardwired boiler or an appliance where you can't find the plug, it's behind stuff. The appliance is too heavy to pull out. So hopefully you will find something that was causing that RCD to trip. But I'm afraid if not, then you're going to have to call the electrician out. So I hope some of these things have been helpful. Leave in the comments section down below if you've had these issues, if you've sorted it. And as you made it this far, I'd like to say thank you to all my new subscribers. And thank you for all your comments. It's really good to have that encouragement. And if you've made it this far and you're not subscribed, please do consider subscribing. It does the channel the world of good to know that there are people out there watching these videos. I'll see you again really soon.